Hi, boys and girls. In today's lesson, because of springtime and all the new blossoms on my apple trees and pear trees, I'm going to focus again on plants, but this time look at the plant life cycle and have a little introduction to photosynthesis. Let's get started. Let's start our learning about the plant life cycle by exploring their seeds. And explore the seeds inside your plant. You can literally just pull the tiny seeds out. After exploring and taking seeds out and really looking at them, observing them closely, you can draw pictures of them, label the kind of seed they are, and then describe their properties. So for example, this apple seed is brown and it's hard and it has a very pointed, sharp end and a smooth, rounded opposite end. The tomato seed, on the other hand, is very small. It's like a light cream beige color. It doesn't have any sharp sides at all. There's hardness when you squeeze against it. You can feel that there is hardness, but because it's surrounded by this slimy texture, it kind of feels soft. The plant life cycle starts with a seed. The seed falls into the ground and begins to absorb the water, and next thing you know, it sprouts roots. Soon, it will become a seedling. The seedling will grow and grow as it absorbs water up from the roots, up the xylem in the stem to the leaf. And in the meantime, the leaves are going through photosynthesis using sunlight, carbon dioxide in the air, and the water through a chemical reaction to make its own food called glucose, which is basically sugar energy for the whole plant to grow. As the plant matures, flowers grow, and flowers are where seeds are grown. Flowering plants need to get pollen from one flower to another flower to make sure that the seeds can grow a new plant. Bees are part of the process of helping to get the pollen from one plant to another. The pollen actually gets on to the bees, and the bees, without even realizing it, are carrying the pollen across from flower to flower. Finally, the seeds in the flower, or if it's a fruiting plant, the seeds inside the fruit are carried by the wind or little critters eating at it, and the seed lands in the soil again, and a new plant grows. And the life cycle begins again. Leaves have a special role to play in the plant's life cycle because leaves make food for the plant by absorbing sunlight and water and the carbon dioxide from the air and going through a chemical reaction called photosynthesis. Leaves also release the oxygen for us to breathe. Our waste of carbon dioxide helps plants grow, and plants' waste of oxygen help us live and grow. We have a symbiotic relationship. What we don't need, they need, and what they don't need, we need. We call plants producers because they produce their own food. Producers like to make. They make their own food out of sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water. And then when we eat plants, by eating vegetables or fruits, we're actually getting that energy from the plants. That's our fuel. But even those of us that eat animals, such as if we eat a hamburger or chicken nuggets, we're actually still getting our energy from plants because the cow or the chicken was eating plants. We as consumers are still getting our energy from plants, even when we're not eating a plant. Other than exploring your seeds, another experiment we're going to try is growing celery or lettuce just in a bowl with water. And our question is going to be, what will happen if we grow it in the sunlight versus if we grow it in the dark? So our independent variable, our one change we're going to make is sunlight versus no sunlight. So we're going to try to use the same kind of dish, the same kind of water, the same kind of celery head or lettuce head, but one's going to get sunlight and one isn't. So that's our independent variable. Our dependent variable will be the results, the outcomes. What will happen to the one that doesn't get any sunlight versus what will happen to the one that gets sunlight. And then we're going to observe. It's going to take a couple of weeks, you guys. This growth takes a little bit of time. And then when we see our results, what new questions does that spark for us as scientists? Do we have something new we're curious about? And then will that extend our experiment? And then you'll want to write about it as well. First, cut off what we call the heads of the lettuce or the celery or both, and place them into a small dish with water. Make sure that you have 2 heads of lettuce or 2 heads of celery, because the only thing that can be different is sunlight versus no sunlight. We can't compare the celery versus the lettuce because then that's more than one independent variable and we won't know why or be sure of what is causing the change. So this one is getting the same amount of water, but when I close the cupboard, it's going to get no light at all and will be in the dark. We're going to see what happens. My independent variable is darkness or light. So far, this one is flourishing, and this one is not flourishing, but it has a teeny tiny little sprout. So it's just starting to sprout. It's getting so big. Our celery in the dark is not showing any signs of new growth. It's been about 7 days and the lettuce is growing so well. You can really see that it's lettuce now. And the celery has a nice tall sprout. It's still not particularly full, but it is definitely sprouting, and there are 4 sprouts now. I'm very excited about this. Oh, look at that piece of lettuce. Oh my gosh, you guys, look! The celery is like totally growing now. Ah, look at how much it's grown. It's just that it's yellow rather than green. Oh my gosh, you guys. I'm kind of amazed at how much the celery and lettuce has grown now. And the celery, although it doesn't really have the long stalks yet, the leaves look so full and green. Is anybody as surprised as I am that the celery did in fact grow even in the dark? And also, I think it's interesting that it grew such a tall stalk and not that many leaves, whereas the one in the sun didn't grow very tall, but it grew such good green leaves. I wonder if the stalk was growing taller to reach for sunlight. Oh my gosh, why is it yellow? It just makes me ask so many questions. My science brain is wondering, it grew yellow like this because it wasn't getting sunlight. I wonder if it'll start to turn green if I now put it in the sunlight. So I'm just curious. So that's going to be an extension activity, and I challenge you to do the same. So once you get your plant to the point that it's grown and it's yellow, if it turns out that way, maybe yours will turn out differently, but if it turns out the same way, I challenge you to try putting it back into the sunshine and see if it changes it. I'll keep you posted. Just like in our edible garden that we have with our Enrich LA Garden Ranger at school, we can sometimes taste the efforts of our labors. I'm gonna try this piece of lettuce and see what it's like. It tastes like lettuce. Whoa, that's bitter. Oh my gosh. Bah. Lettuce is good though. In just a few days, it's already turned so much more green in the sunlight. So the chlorophyll is absorbing the red and blue light now and allowing it to reflect green. The assignments that go with this lesson include dissecting fruits and vegetables to observe and write about the seed's properties. Also, you may write a book, a poster, or an art project about the plant life cycle. I really hope you get to do the celery experiment. Be sure to keep track of its progress by writing it down and share your results. Finally, for some of my older students, I'd like you to read more about photosynthesis, chlorophyll, and what's really happening that make our green plants green. See you next time.